The Ghost Who Fed the Village Part 2. He would be fed only dry water-soaked gari, guarded day and night. No visitors. No light. Only the echo of his own madness. The cave where he had lived was burned. Cleansings were done. Rituals held. The palace kitchen was sealed. And for 1 year, no meat was served in the village. People fasted in grief and guilt. Ino became a hero. Though some still feared her modern ways, they could not deny that she had saved Agbodo. She started a community program to teach the villagers how to use phones and record strange events. She installed lights in dark corners of the village and worked with the youth to patrol at night. Slowly, the children returned to play. The drums returned to the night. The fear faded like a bad dream. One day, an old woman held Ino's hands and said, "You did what the gods could not do. You showed us the monster in our midst. May your name be remembered forever." Ino smiled, not with pride, but with sorrow. Because she too had eaten the meat once. The days that followed Kobe's capture were silent, yet thunderous in grief. Not a single family in Agbodo had been untouched by his madness. People began to remember things they once ignored, that odd piece of meat in the soup, that strange smell during the feast, that day when their dog barked at empty air and ran into the bush. Some villagers began to avoid the palace entirely, feeling betrayed that so many of the deadly meals had been served there. Ino bore the weight of the truth like an iron cloak. Though she had saved the village, she couldn't forget the day she had licked the palm oil from her fingers and praised the stew. Her younger cousin, Titi, was one of the missing. Ino hadn't known. She had thought Titi had gone to the city for fashion school. No. Titi had become a meal. One morning, Ino climbed the village hills and screamed into the wind. Her voice cracked. Her throat burned. Her heart ached. No one answered. Below, the villagers heard the scream and knew. She was mourning all of them. Though Kobe had already been condemned to a pit cell, the elders agreed he needed to face a public trial. Not because they didn't believe Ino, but because the people deserved to look the devil in the eyes. The village square was packed. Even the sick and old were carried on mats and stools. The sky that day was dark, heavy with judgment. Thunder rumbled from a distance. Kobe was brought in, shackled, emaciated, but still with that eerie smile. He looked at the crowd and sneered, "Did you miss my cooking?" Gasps echoed. A few men surged forward with sticks, but the guards held them back. The chief, trembling, stood and read out the list of known victims. 32 names. Old, young, men, women, even a child. Tears flowed. Mothers wailed. Some fainted. When asked why he did it, Kobe laughed bitterly. "You banished me for stealing a cow. A cow. Yet you all steal from each other every day. You cheat, you gossip, you betray, but I was the one cursed. So I gave you a taste of what you truly are, beast. You fed on your guilt." The chief shouted, "You are not a spirit. You are not a ghost. You are a monster." Kobe looked at Ino and said, "And you, the princess of screens and light, you two-fisted. How does it feel?" Ino, calm but strong, replied, "The difference is I spit the bones and brought you into the light. You will rot in darkness." Thunder cracked as if the heavens agreed. Kobe was thrown into the pit the same night. The pit was 20 feet deep, dug at the center of the village, lined with thorns and broken clay pots. A wooden cage was placed above it, with a narrow slit for dropping in his daily meal of soaked gari and bitter herbs. No one was allowed to speak to him. He was left to rot with the ghost of his victims. But some nights, the wind carried his voice. He would sing old lullabies in a low, haunting voice, songs mothers used to hum to babies, now twisted into something cold and wrong. Children were told never to go near the pit. Despite Kobe's punishment, strange things began to happen. The soil around the pit grew black. Crops in nearby farms began to rot. Dogs barked at the moon and refused to go near the square. Old Mama Era, the village seer, warned the council. You punish the man, but the blood of the innocent still cries out. You must cleanse the land. A week-long ritual was declared. Drums echoed day and night. The shrine was reanointed. Goats were sacrificed. Libations were poured. The names of the dead were carved into stone and placed around a new monument, the Wall of the Eaten. Families came to touch the names, whisper apologies, cry, and forgive themselves. But Ino noticed something odd. She found a small, hidden tunnel beneath Kobe's cave leading to the forest edge. Inside it, she found symbols written in blood and bone. Kobe hadn't acted alone. Ino brought the discovery to the elders, but most dismissed it. The devil works alone, they insisted. But she couldn't sleep. Her instincts told her otherwise. She began watching the video footage again, frame by frame. Then she saw it. In one scene, when Kobe was preparing meat, another shadow passed behind him, brief, fast, and silent. She zoomed in. A figure. Wearing a similar robe. Carrying a staff. She enhanced the audio. A second voice, deep and raspy, had said, quickly. They'll wake up soon. There was another ghost. Or worse, a master. Ino rushed to the palace and played the enhanced video. The chief staggered back. I know that voice, he whispered. It belongs to someone I trusted. It was Elder Boko, the chief's longtime advisor, the one who had insisted the meals be shared at the palace, the one who always arrived last and left early. Ino and the guards stormed his compound. They found robes, masks, bones, bottles of sleeping herbs, and a notebook with names, victims, planned dates, and symbols for meat. Boko had been the mastermind. Kobe was only the knife. Boko had taught him how to silence victims, preserve meat, and cook it into traditional stews using strong spices to mask the taste. He had done it not out of hunger, but for power. He believed that feeding the people human flesh would make them obey the palace without question. It was dark juju disguised as tradition. When confronted, Boko tried to flee, but fell into the same pit where Kobe had been thrown. Kobe laughed maniacally when Boko landed beside him. My master has come home, he shouted. The people of Agbodo watched in horror. The villagers were outraged. Their grief reopened. Their trust shattered. The monument was expanded to include Boko's sins. The pit was declared cursed. Mama Era warned, no land is clean while the
Watch
bones
out
of
for
betrayal
part 2.
still walk among you. A final ritual was planned. At dawn, Kobe and Boko were lifted from the pit in iron cages. The entire village gathered. The chief made no speeches. No words were spoken. Only drums. Slow, sad, steady. They were taken to the forest edge, the same place where they had cooked others. There, they were tied to the same tree under which bones were buried. Firewood stacked. Palm oil poured. Ino lit the torch. As the flames rose, the forest echoed with the screams of beasts who once wore men's skin. When it was done, Mama Era scattered ashes over the land. Rain fell for the first time in weeks. Peace, at last. Months passed. The darkness lifted. The fields turned green again. Children laughed once more. But no one ever forgot. The story of the ghost who fed the village became legend, told around fires and in schools. Ino started a village center called Light of Agbodo, a place where children learn truth, history, and how to use technology for justice. Tourists came from across the country to visit the Wall of the Eaten. Documentaries were made. Awards were given. But Ino remained humble. One night, sitting under the moon with her father, she asked, Would they ever forgive me for exposing what they wished was just a ghost? Her father, tears in his eyes, said, "You did what I couldn't. You gave our village a second chance." And as the moonlight kissed the land, Agbodo exhaled, for the ghost was gone, but the lesson remained. The end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us for more.